I'm recording. Okay, welcome to our team call. It is Monday, August. I'm not on my computer, so it's Monday in August. It's the last Monday in August, the 30th. And we have Doug Fitzgerald with us today, and I'm so excited to introduce Doug. He is just a coach that I've known for a really long time and have always just really appreciated Doug and your wife, Tammy, and what you do for Team Beachbody as a whole. So I'm going to actually read some stats that your assistant passed along to me because I thought this was really cool. So Doug is a founding Team Beachbody coach. He's been associated with Beachbody since 2001. He was a 2007 $10,000 transformation winner and was featured on several Power 90 and P90X infomercials, along with live appearances with Tony Horton on QVC. Doug is a 9-star diamond coach, holds 3 coach business centers, was the 2009 top coach and 2010 and a 2010-2011 elite coach. Doug has been a Success Club member for several years, served 2 terms on the coach advisory board, and is a multi-million-dollar earner. In 2011, he was awarded the first ever Team Beachbody CEO Award. Doug will be releasing his first book on September 18th, 2018, titled One Shot, One Life, The Ultimate Success Formula to Help You Win Anything at Life. He's been married for 27 years to Tammy, and they have 2 great kids, Dylan and Sydney. And I put in here, when I made your announcement to the team page, I talked about your integrity and how you are really supportive of everybody, how you and your wife are just an incredibly supportive team. And I'm really just grateful for all that you do for us. And I want you to also elaborate, more on yourself, more on your journey, more on about what Beachbody is and really how you have the heart of Beachbody and falling in love with the mission of it, and how corporate has our best interest. And just because I think you just really instill that. And obviously you're the first CEO award winner. That's, showing you a huge deal right there. So take it over.
Well, cool. Well, Tamara, thank you so much. Tell Neil thanks for managing the house during vacation time. So, yes, that's great. So tell him hello for me, and so good to have Michelle and Heidi and Katie on. I just tonight, especially if you're watching later on too, I'm hoping that there'll be some value in what I share tonight. And if you have any questions along the way, guys and gals, I guess I should say gals, except for the fellas that are in the background. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to either unmute yourself or ask. I'm a transparent, black and white kind of speaker, and would love any feedback that you have or anything, or afterwards we can do Q&A as well. So, but Tamara, thank you so much for that great introduction. I really appreciate it. How much time are we looking at for the call?
Oh, this one, I did use my link, which I should have just used Michelle's. We have about 30 minutes left.
Okay, yeah. Perfect. So if you need to give me a maybe a warning at some point.
I can do that.
Okay. Hopefully we won't go that long, but who knows tonight. So, all right. So Tamara had shared with me several things that she thought would be valuable for the team. I'm going to wear my glasses tonight and cheat a little bit. So what I did this afternoon is I kind of went through what she went through and shared with me. And I came up with 4 items tonight that I want to share about. And during those 4 things, I will, sprinkle in some stories and share a little bit about our past and our history and maybe where we're at now and where we're going in the future. So tonight, if you got a pen and paper, I don't know if you want to, write this down or not, but I'm going to share 4 things that I've found vital to trust as a Team Beachbody coach. 4 things I found vital to trust as a Team Beachbody coach. Now, let me give you a little, before we jump into this, let me give a little disclaimer. Obviously, trust is a big word, right? So you have to be discerning and wise. I will speak generally in most cases, and I will clarify some specifics as well. But also, trust is a personal thing too. It's something that we have to earn from other people, and other people have to earn from us. And so, what I will share with you tonight is trusting from a general perspective that I know that these 4 areas have earned from me, and I think it'll be valuable, and we'll jump right into it. So with that being said, the other part of it I wanted to say too is I'm going to sprinkle a couple of stories from the book that's coming out in September, and thank you so much for sharing that. So I'm going to sprinkle some of those. So that when I refer to that, that's, why what I'm referring to specifically. So, all right. So 4 things I found vital to trust as a Team Beachbody coach. Number 1 is to trust the mission, is to trust our mission at Team Beachbody. When we first got started, I had ordered Power 90 with my wife, Tammy. Oh my goodness. Back in April of 2001, somewhere in there. So we were one of the we didn't know this at the time. We were one of the very first people to order a Beachbody product off an infomercial. And so we watched it about 10 times, and Tammy said, well, just order it because they say they have a money-back guarantee. That's back when we didn't order things off TV. I mean, it was rare if you did. It was just getting started. So we went ahead and ordered it, and I got the VHS tapes in the mail, along with the guide, the meal planning guide. And I had some questions. So I called the 800 number on the back of the guide, and this guy named Carl answered the phone, and he answered my questions real nice, and it was really cool. And he said, hey, if you get some good transformation pictures, please send them to us. We'd really appreciate it. Well, fast forward till we got done the 90 days, had great results, went ahead and sent in the before and afters. They invited us to come out to Kauai to film some transformation footage for their upcoming infomercials for Power 90. Well, lo and behold, find out the guy on the other end of the phone was Carl Deichler, our CEO. We had no idea. And also find out later that he was answering the calls in his garage with his partner, John Congdon, and their 2 assistants. So that's how we got to know Carl. Now, here's the reason why I say this. Trust is a big word, right? I've known Carl since literally the beginning. I mean, I'm one of the very few people from literally the beginning of him doing infomercial sales to even kicking off the network several years later. So we got to form a relationship with Carl, with John, got to know Tony on the infomercial, was part of the P90X program when they started developing that. Got to travel a few times with Tony to QVC and kind of sell that product. And we've had Tony here in Lincoln several times, and he's become a really good friend. Sean T's become a really good friend. We've had him here in Lincoln for several events, and their family's become our family. And we've just gotten to know a lot of people through the company. Jeff Hill, Arnaud, you just go down the list. Jemima, Michael, they're just all friends of ours. And so when we started, I don't know if many of you know this, but when we started the network itself, Carl was trying to make a decision. Do we go big box, selling Targets, selling Walmarts, that type of thing, or do we try this network marketing route? So they decided they were going to try the network marketing route out. So Carl calls me up and says, hey, we want people that love the product, that had great transformations with the product, to be part of the foundation of what we do in the network. I said, Carl, I'm a pastor. We've got about 400 members in our church. I'm not so sure about network marketing. He said, why don't you just come out and hear it? I said, no, I'm fine. And he called one more time. He said, Doug, I'd really like you to come out. You and Tammy, we built a relationship. Trust me in this. And so after telling him no twice, we went ahead and went out. Of course, he took care of us being at the Beverly Hills, is it the Four Seasons Hotel? I can't remember the hotel now. That didn't hurt. So we went out to hear about what it was about. There's 41 of us specifically to kick off the founding part of the network. It was at that meeting that Carl revealed, if I remember right, don't quote me on this, but if I remember right, the whole idea of what the mission state of what we were going to do is, back then it was $1 Million Body, was at least a formulation of the mission statement we have today, which is to help people achieve their goals and lead healthy and fulfilling lives. And if you go to events, if you're on the Super Centers, all that, help people achieve their goals and lead healthy and fulfilling lives. So, we get through the meetings, at the founders meeting. It was Tony Horton, it was myself, Tracy Morrow, Tammy, my wife, and a guy named Dale Christensen. And we were at the foot of this big staircase in this hotel. And we were all alone, and we were just talking. We're like, what, we really don't want to do this networking thing. And the reason why is back then it had a negative connotation, and we turned it, we didn't want to be, so if Tracy or Tony or you run into anybody say you want to be icky, they'll know what you're talking about, because we knew what we were doing. So that's kind of how we started. And there were 41 of us who had the same mindset. I'm not going to say everybody was, because a lot of them were network marketers, but half of them were Beachbody people who just had great results with the programs. And so we set out to build the network hopefully with people trusting us by simply sharing what we knew worked for ourselves, and in turn, we knew had worked for other people in our lives. And through the process, we started to build relationships with people. So that's how we started. So let's fast forward to this past June. We go to Summit. This was the first summit I had been in for 4 years. And I'll get to that here in a little bit of why it's been 4 years. But it was the first one in 4 years. And first big night, I don't know if you've ever gone to Summit. Who else gone to Summit? I'm going to look at everybody's picture here. Okay, everybody. Okay, everybody's here. All right. So I don't know what we had there. And I've heard different numbers. I don't know. But you walk in, right, to the stadium. And I got a little emotional. And the first people I see right there, Tamara and Neil. First people who walk in through the curtains, boom, there they are. Give them a big hug, high five, how you doing? So cool to see you. Next person I see, I think I got this right? That you were first, and then Michelle, you were next, right, with Brian? See each other, hugs. Okay, so at that point I started getting emotional. And here's why. I hadn't been to Summit for 4 years. And you look into the stadium, and what hit me was, first of all, here I walk in the stadium and I know people, right? That's just weird, right? I just know people, and it's people I want to be with, right? It's not people I, look up to as far as stars or something. Everybody's the same. So I see all these people, I start getting emotional, and I look up in the stadium and there's thousands of people, and lights and videos and like really crystal clear big videos. I mean, cool things, right? All these little things. Anyway, I say all that to say this. I couldn't wait to get back to talk to Tammy that night, because what hit me was this. 12 years ago, 41 of us were in a room saying, I don't know if this will go. We don't want to be icky. We don't know what the heck we're doing. Half of us had no clue what we were doing. And 12 years later, we are 400,000+ coaches strong. And what I'm proud of more than anything is that night I got to see so many good friends, new friends, friends of the last year or two, friends for 15 years, 17 years in this network. And that's what's most important in what we do. So when I say trust, I've been around long enough to know. Now, there's always ups and downs, right, in relationships. There's always ups and downs in business growth. There's always good things and negative things. And there's always things that you get frustrated with, all that stuff. But bottom line, if you love each other, you make it through the dips and valleys. The highs are so high because you trust and love each other. So that's why I say number one is just trust the mission, because our mission has proven itself over the last 12 years. And Beachbody has allowed Tammy and me to do some pretty cool things. I know if I were able to speak to each one of you, Beachbody's allowed you to do cool things with your health and fitness, allow you to do some cool things with your relationships, build new relationships with people you didn't know, earn some income most likely, be able to do some things in your life that you wouldn't have been able to do before. So I want you to think about those things, because for us, we've been able to just live a life where we have the freedom of time to be able to go to all our kids' activities. Talking about my daughter's dance. There she is right there. This weekend we were there, and today I was there at her, watched her get an All-American award for her dance. And on a Monday, when there were only 2 dads there on the team, we worked to do that, but Beachbody has allowed us the platform and the tool and the resource to be able to get there and to do those things. So, and so many other things I don't want to get into, including writing the book, because I've spent 3 years writing the book, and I've been able to spend the last year really focusing on that and the launch of that. And there's nothing wrong with that, because Beachbody has given me the time and the resource to be able to do that. And if I hadn't had Beachbody in my life, this wouldn't be. I'm just telling you right now, it wouldn't be. But it's allowed it to happen. So for you and for your coaches and for your customers, they are living all the benefits that this simple mission statement has given us, which is to help people achieve their goals and lead healthy and fulfilling lives. And so I remember seeing Carl that first night, and he came over and I grabbed him. We hugged, we talked for just a second. He got ready to leave, and I grabbed him again, and I grabbed him by the face. And I said, thank you for letting me achieve my goals and lead a healthy and fulfilling life. So much more than just looking good, so much more than just losing some weight. Change my family, build new relationships, allow me to achieve some things in my life that I wouldn't have been able to do. Okay, so number one, trust the mission. All right, and Tamara, make sure you give me a time out if I need to cut things short or anything. All right. So number two, then, second thing to trust the executive team. Now I'm going to be the first one to tell you, I've been on CAB. I've seen the good, bad, and the ugly. I've been just as frustrated as anybody else. If you're married or have good, solid relationships over the last year, you get frustrated, but you also get excited and have great days. I want to tell you something. We got some pretty cool people leading this company, and it's not always been roses. I want to tell you, there have been a few times in this network where we, close to crashing and burning. But Carl has stepped up. John Congdon has stepped up. They have committed their lives and a lot of money to making sure this works for you and me. And I know it's, no matter where you fall in the network, how long you've been involved with this, they've invested everything. And it's cost them some things too in their lives. It really has. And if they're honest, I'm honest, there's a price that we pay in this. I know in the first few years we were building this so fast that I neglected my relationship with my wife. And that's really the thread that we weave through this book of the principles that allowed us to get back to a thriving marriage. But part of that was I was working so hard that I took the eye off the ball, the priority with my relationship with my wife. And I'll talk about priorities here in a second. But there's a sacrifice that's made in the process. Hopefully the sacrifice doesn't cost you vital things. It'll cost you some things, which are fine. It cost me a lot of time and effort in the beginning, which has allowed me free time to do a ton of crazy things with my kids that most parents aren't allowed to do because of that. So trust the executive. Jeff Hill, I don't know if you guys know much about Jeff. Jeff gave up everything at the previous company he was at. He was set. He didn't have to worry about anything. I mean, literally. I remember when they were interviewing him, wanting him to come in. He's like, I've got everything I need. I don't need anything new. I really don't need a new startup to try to help limp along, to get going, okay? He gave up everything to help build this network. While his wife has struggled with her health, while he's raised all his girls and one boy, while he's done, traveled across, those guys travel across the country. It's crazy, the schedule that they keep. And sometimes I feel guilty because we're so blessed. Like, I don't have to keep that schedule. That's what I work for, and he's working for what he's working for. So number two, trust the executive team. Doesn't mean that there's not going to be issues that happen. Doesn't mean you don't use discernment in the process. Just means trust their common heart, goal, and purpose in what they're trying to do. They're taking care of us so we can do what we do. They really are. And tonight, you're going to get the raw me. You always get the raw me, okay? All right, number three to trust. Trust your team. Trust your team. Now, I know you guys are part of a great team. I know some coaches that don't have a team. I know some coaches that are part of a terrible team, okay? Generally, again, discernment, using this, but you trust your team. And it's not just, it's team in general. It's the team network. And you break it down to your team and other people's teams that you can utilize. You break it down into teams within your upline and teams within your downline. And we'll break them down even further to just your sponsoring coaches and your success partners and those people that walk alongside you. Trust your team. I've got a picture, and I share this story in my book, but I got a picture right in front of me over here that I found years ago, and I sent one to Tracy Morrow because she's my success partner. She's also a founding coach. But it's a story of Aaron, Moses, and Hur. And I'm not here to push my faith on you, but I want to share this story from the Old Testament where Moses was leading, he was like president of his country, Israel, but they were nomads traveling around. And but God was giving them land bit by bit, piece by piece. He was creating a territory for them. And he had two good friends, Aaron and Hur. And they were this other country called the Amalekites, this other group of people, were wanting to destroy them. And so this battle ensued. And Moses had a staff. I don't know if you ever remember seeing movies and stuff. He always had a staff. God gave him a staff, did a lot of things with that staff. But he took that staff up the hill, and God told him, as long as you have your arms raised throughout the entire battle, you will win. If you drop them at any time, you will lose. Pretty simple. Aaron and Hur went up with Moses up the hill. They found a place where they could observe the battle. His arms up all day long. They start getting tired, starts dropping them. They start losing the battle. Raise them back up, starts winning the battle. Here's what Aaron and Hur did. They found him a place to sit, and they stood on both sides of him for hours and lifted his hands up until they won. Now, that's what a team does. That's what a success partner does. I guarantee you, they knew Moses so well that they were cheering him on. You can do this, Moses. We got your back. We'll hold your hands up. You sit right here. We will be here with you till the end. Don't give up. I guarantee that's what they were doing. As soon as they won, I'm sure they're going high five and woohoo. You know, they're down there putting him on their shoulders, taking him down the hill. And I also guarantee you, when he had to console families and people who had lost brothers, dads, whoever in the battle, that Moses was consoling them, I guarantee you Aaron and Hur were right there with him. You see, that's what building trust is, when you go through the battles of life together. You go through battles of building this business and the struggles that there is sometimes, but then there's also the great times where you succeed and you win and you cheer each other on, and you give each other high fives and put each other on shoulders. That's what trust builds as you experience those relationships together. So plug into your team. Don't lose sight of your team. If you haven't been plugged in, plug into them. I got to re-engage with the upline team of mine because of Summit. Because there's something about the value of relationships there, and the camaraderie that's there, and the support that's there, that is invaluable, and that will move you on to success. If you don't have a success partner too, somebody who's willing to walk alongside you and speak truth to you, achieve the same goal together, run this business together, I highly recommend you do that. I walked through, it's one of the biggest chapters in my book. I believe in it so much. The success partners in life are vital. And again, like I talked about at Summit, when I went there, the thing that was so important to me that struck me the most, it was the relationships. It was the friendships. People I hadn't seen for years, it was like I saw them yesterday. I was able to walk down the hall, people opening up. I was able to pray for some people who were dealing with some health stuff. I was able to high five and celebrate with some people who were having some great success in what they were doing, and success in their life in general. But trusting your team is about building that relationship and developing that relationship. So plug into your calls, plug into your webinars. The webinar, I know Tamara wanted me to share that, Tammy and I do a webinar once a month, first Sunday night of every month. We give away 2 prizes. We've been doing it for over 10 years now. We still have guests. It still surprises us that people are still wanting to hear the same story over and over. But it works. I was told by a former executive, and I believe it's why he's a former executive. He said, if you keep doing that webinar 30 to 35 to 40 minutes, it will die. Nobody will want to come. We've been doing it for over 10 years now. Is it always big? No. Sometimes it's 10, 15 people. Sometimes it's 20, 30 people still. And the cool thing about it is we get a lot of great guests. And usually about a quarter of those people are always guests. And people are always signing up, and coaches are always signing up. And I don't care who it is. I don't care if you're on our team or not. I believe as a CEO winner, the part of the responsibility that I have is to support the entire network as a whole. So I'm going to cheer people on Facebook. I'm going to celebrate with people on Facebook. I'm going to invite them into what we do. Anyway, so trust your team. That's third. And the final one is this. How much time do I got, Tamara?
You have 12 minutes. Yeah.
Dang, we're flying.
Good.
All right. Sweet. All right. Number 4. The fourth thing to trust is to trust your heart. So we went, number 1 was trust your mission, trust the mission. Number 2 was trust the executive team. 3 was trust your team. And number 4 is to trust your heart. This one's important to me because you have to understand your priorities in life first. If you don't know what your priorities are and you start setting out to try to achieve certain things that may not be appropriate, they might be counterproductive to who you are and those people around you. And Beachbody is a vital part. Obviously, we're all coaches here, right? From your health perspective and also from a business perspective. So obviously, you've identified it as a priority. But I want to encourage you to do this. Make sure that you take care of the vital life priorities first. That's relationships with the spouse. It's relationships with your kids. It's making sure that I don't know if you're people of faith, but explore that in some way. Making sure that you take care of those things. And then obviously we all have to earn an income and build a business or develop a business or be an employee while we're building this business part-time, whatever it is. make sure you understand those priorities and you have them in the right order first. I got mine out of whack once we started building the business. I mean, our life was great to that point. Marriage was great. We started building the business and it started taking over. But let me give you a little counterbalance here. We started this business. Our why to start this business was for this. I wanted to be able to do things with my kids that I didn't see other dads able to do. I wanted to be able to coach my kids' teams. I wanted to be able to take them to school. I wanted to be able to have the free time to be able to do stuff with them. I worked hard. There was some sacrifice in the process. And thank God I had some good friends. I had my wife, Tammy, stick around. And God slapped me upside the head a little bit. And I was, willing to listen. Because that's allowed me to be able to do some cool things with my family. There is sacrifice. I think there's appropriate sacrifice. Tracy always balances me out on this. She says, I always get real hard on this. She's like, Doug, but there's got to be sacrifice. I know you're right. You're right. There's got to be sacrifice in this. But just make sure your priorities are always in line. If you feel like life's getting out of control, probably you need to back up and look at your priorities again. I bet your priorities are out of line. About every quarter, Tracy and I call it recalibrating. Our priorities are, if one of us sounds like we're out of whack, we say, whoa. Priorities, where are we at? That's why it's important. And then you have to understand why you're in this business. So once you look at your priorities and you set your priorities with them, why are you in this business? I knew why I was. I've been able to travel around. My son plays college baseball. I've been able to travel around to every game that he's been, except for one where we were in Disneyland for my daughter's national dance championship, and he played his first games in Oklahoma. I remember being at a game where I was going to go to 3 road games in a row for his college baseball team, and I remember being in his home stadium, and the bus driver, Gene, who I got to be really good friends with, because a lot of games it was just me and him. But he was like, "Are you going to be able to go to these games?" I said, "Yep, I'm going." And one of the dads says, "Boy, you sure are lucky." And there was part of that kind of ticked me off a little bit. And there was part of it that I felt sad. I felt sad that there was a life that I was fortunate enough that I saw the priorities early enough that allowed me to do this in advance. I felt a little frustrated because it didn't just happen. It wasn't lucky. I mean, it took work to get that opportunity. And hopefully I'm be able to do that for 2 more years with him. So you got to know your why getting in the business, because that's going to drive you to do whatever it takes so that you can reap the reward down the road. And that's the benefit of this business. That's the cool thing about this business. The other part of it is this. I talk about priorities and making sure you identify these priorities and live them out. That's why I wrote this book. It's 5 principles, godly principles, been around for thousands of years to help you identify your priorities, help you find proven plans to achieve them, to be able to master persistence, to be able to carry out that plan. And then 2 cool things: the power of regular evaluation, the power of having a success partner. You use those 2 things in combination with those other 3, and you will propel your success to the next level. But I just want to say this, don't lose sight of why you became a coach to begin with. Because it can get frustrating and you lose sight. Just like I had lost a little bit of sight and taste, except when I walk into Summit and I go, whoa, now I know why we did what we did. You kind of remember those things. Let me share you this quick story from the book. How much time do I got, Tamara?
You got 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
I know.
All right, we'll fly.
And if we have to, we can do the thing where we log the thing off and on, but we'll want to respect your time too.
All right. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to read this quick story. And I wrote this, this is a coach in the Beachbody business. I changed the name for privacy's sake. So I called him Bob. What a good name, right? But I remember meeting it was after a summit event in Las Vegas, and Bob was having a really tough time with his business because he really knew he wanted to do it, but he didn't know what to do. And so this was the conversation that I remember standing in a hallway of this hotel for, my goodness, it was a long time. I said, Bob, why do you want to start this business? And he said, well, for a few years, I felt the overwhelming desire in my heart to do it. I said, why do you have the desire? Because he couldn't figure out what to do. He said, because I want to help people in my town with their health and fitness. I said, that's great, but why do you want to help them? And he thought for a minute. His voice started to crack. Tears started to well up in his eyes. And he said, I've watched several family members and friends suffer, a couple even die, because of health-related issues. I know that if they'd had someone to help them, take the initial steps to improve their health, they wouldn't have had to suffer. Realizing that Bob was beginning to understand deeply why he was desiring this, I said, "So why are you?" And Bob said, I said, "So why you?" Because he's saying he had the expertise. I said, "Well, why you?" And he said, "I have the expertise to train people to serve them. So many others in towns serve them, and so many other towns I've grown up in." I said, "Now we're getting somewhere. Give me the names of the people right now that you know of that could use your help. Tell me a little bit about their story and why they mean so much to you." One by one, he shared stories of people that he cared about and that he loved, who he knew that he could help. I said, "So now do you think that you can start this business?" He said, "Yes." I said, "For the last time, why?" And he said, "Because it hurts me to see my family member, friends, and others in the community that I deeply care about suffer from health issues that I know I can help them with. If I can make a positive and potentially life-saving difference in their lives, then that's what I want to do." So you have to dig down and find your why. It has to be an emotional attachment. That's what will drive you to do whatever it takes to build your business. Then you can start trusting your heart in the process, because now you have a reason to have a heart that's going to fulfill your life and help fulfill those around you. Tamara, am I about done?
Yep, you got 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Well, all right. So that's my story. I had one more, but I'll save it for another day. So, but I hope that, if you want to jump back on, I mean, if people want to, that's great. We can do Q&A and stuff. If not, that's great too. Don't worry about my time. I'm here all night. But I just hope that you can find ways to trust the mission, trust the executive team, trust your team, and trust your heart in the process. Because I believe when you do those things appropriately, you're going to live a life. You're going to live out the mission. You're going to achieve your own goals and have a healthy and fulfilling life in so many different ways. So I hope that was encouraging. So.
Yeah, that was great. Does anybody have something right now that you're like, yes, or do you want to hop back on for some Q&A time? Does anybody have something that? So I don't want to cut you guys off, because I know it was me too, my fault too, for not being there right on time.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. Well, I think honestly, when you just read that part from your book, it was pretty much what I was gonna ask about, honestly, because I'm like, I've been doing this, and when is it gonna turn around? But I also know, even though I always think my why is there, I always think that I need to dig deeper still than what it really is. So. The exercise I talk about in the book is you keep asking why. And if you notice in that story, I keep asking the same question, just why? Yeah. Why
the business? Why you? Why? Until finally you get to a point where you're going, oh, sometimes it takes a while though. Mm-hmm. And then you grasp onto that one thing, and maybe God uses somebody in your life to point it out to you, or something else that happens in your life, and you go, oh. I don't know what it was for me when it was with my kids. I remember wanting to walk my daughter to her classroom. Back then I could walk her right into the classroom in the public school. Mm-hmm. And we had been homeschooling our kids to that point. And I wanted to be able to do that. And I remember when she started school that fall, I was able to do it because I'd retired from ministry 7 months into it. It was August or end of July that year. The school started in August, and I was able to walk her right to the classroom. So it was those little things that I don't know what it is for you, but for me, that makes me cry, or even now, but it was emotional. And I knew if I did that, I'd be able to do other things with her, to be able to do other things with my son like that. So that's what kind of opened that door for me. So
Heidi, would you like to get back on? I'm fine with that. Sorry, I just got a message, a chat. Let's do that.
No, good. I just had a question of how do we get the book? Because I know we have less than a minute.
Yes.
I can share.
I've got a link. You can go to Amazon. You just go to Amazon. I've got a free giveaway too. Oh, you can go to